Hi, Azhan. Thanks for joining us today and talking to us a little bit about your experience as a high yield issuer in Asia.
Okay, thanks, Morgan. I think being a company from Malaysia, we did our first issuance back in 2019, in May 2019. Is quite a interesting journey. It took us almost 6 months to actually make the issuance. But it is an interesting journey because I think after we did our issuance in May 2019, we realized that there's a lot of demand, especially with regards to any issuance coming from Malaysia. And we see at the same time after the issuance of our debt, we also see investor coming in from the equity side, and it helped to actually improve our overall share price. Because being part of a listed entity, of course, most of the time our investor mainly domestic driven. But after we did our USD Sukuk, we've seen that our international investor has increased. Our foreign investor increased from it was 4 to 5%. Foreign investor after we did our issuance, it shoot up to almost 7 to 8%. Almost double of what we have before. So it was interesting journey for us. And of course, after a couple of months, we decide to come again because we see there's a lot of demand in regards to our own bond. So that's why in 2019, end of 2019, in December, I think a lot of people were also a bit surprised when we come towards the end of the year. Not many issuer comes in December, but we did, and we managed to pull through. There's a lot of investor interest as well. That time, we see not just coming from this region. We see new type of investor from our first transaction. Basically, the first issuance we can see a lot coming from Hong Kong, Singapore. But on the second issuance, we see a lot of investors coming from Europe and Middle East as well. So that showcase that there's a demand and liquidity out there, especially coming from this region. But of course, 2020 was a bit challenging year. We have been monitoring the market. Hopefully, we can come back again into the market and maybe have quite a good investor profile as well.
If you return to the market in 2021, what would you be looking for? Is there a new tenor? Would you be looking to build out your curve in any way?
Yeah, I think obviously when we did the first one, it was very in short term, 3 years. There's also an intention now. I guess it's supposed to be towards the end of the maturity, which is 2022. So I guess when we look into coming back into the market, we want to first of all to address the maturity of the 2022 and maybe look into a much more longer kind of tenor, 5 years or 7 years, but depending on what the market is. So yeah, I think that's how we believe. It depends as well and how's the market reaction as well.
And it's very rare that we see Malaysian issuers come into the dollar market. Why is that the case?
Okay, I think most of the time is obviously the cost of debt. Being a issuer from Malaysia market itself is very high in liquidity. So a lot of companies like to actually tap into the domestic market because the cost of borrowing is much more cheaper as compared to issuing in international market. But at the same time, I guess being a company like us, where 60-70% of our activity are in international market, where the requirement for US dollar is there, that's why we decided to go in and take the risk of going into international market and raise the financing. But I guess for the locals market, I would say the cost of debt is always the main criteria for them, whether they want to tap into the local market or they want to tap in the international market.
And are you aware of any new names that we could see come out, or how are you think we could get more diversity coming out of Malaysia this year?
I guess that one normally people don't just mention it, or normally banks know. like HIBC, they might have some names that coming out. But of course, we would like to see more of Malaysian players to go into international market, because I believe it will give not just a recognition in the international market for the local market, but it can also create a good reputation. Because I think when we did our sukuk, we heard that there's a lot of fund that wanted or eager to invest into a Malaysia company, but it's just that there's lack of players that is coming into the US dollar market.
Great. Thank you very much for your time today.
Sure.